Hello, this is High Templar. Welcome to my Total War Warhammer 2 news video. And this is actually combined video because we had both Quest Battle and Dark Elf Battle video on the official Total War YouTube channel and on the stream before. Now, I didn't make the video about the stream right away because I was recording some multiplayer. And then when I looked at the stream, I've noticed that there is very few new information about about anything, just not enough to make the separate video for it. So I will make one video for it all, and this video will be focusing on the units, on the stats, on the new abilities on the battlefield for both Skaven and Dark Elves. So, without further ado, let's start. Firstly, let's start with the Skaven, something that I believe most people would be interested in. And we will start with Lord Skrolk, who is the leader of the Skaven. And as you can see, he is a spellcaster, decent melee combatant and frenzy with decent health, no armor, decent leadership, but nothing special for the Lord. 42 speed, mind you, this is not great because he won't be able to mount anything. A very decent attack but not great defense, like average weapon strength for a Lord, and a very low charge bonus. So he will not be a fighter, but indeed he can take a punch. And he will be using Plague lore, and I will be showing you the spells from this lore. Second thing is something that we wanted to see. This is an engineer. And he was advertised as a melee lord, who is actually also a support lord and has some spells. But as you can see, he is not really a good melee lord. He has only 25 melee attack, he has 30 melee defense, he has decent health but no armor, he has 280 weapon strength, no anti-large, although he does have a halberd. But he does have armor piercing, very low charge bonus, so he will actually lose to some of the pure spellcasters, and he was advertised as a melee lord, but you can see here he's actually described as a wizard. So the engineer will have a Doom Rocket ability, and we will see how the Doom Rocket ability works. His average, and yes, you have to put few of them for this to really work. Here we can see him a bit different. This is how he looks in the details from front. Now I will also show you how the Doom Rocket works, but this will be in a moment. Now this is a Plague Claw Catapult. So this thing is this is dealing some splash damage, as you can see, some armor piercing, it is contaminating, it is lowering the leadership of whoever it will hit. It is giving magical damage as well, decent range, very normal damage, nice hit points actually, very nice hit points. In general, very average artillery piece, but it does provide additional debuff for leadership, so it's nice. Then we have a Doom Wheel. So this is basically a flagship of the Skaven, Doom Wheels, and it does deliver. It's Zap, it's armored, it's anti-infantry, it's armor piercing. And the most of the damage it will be doing will be this missile damage around it, but it can really just go into the unit and wreck it as pretty much any heavy chariot, because you should treat it as a very heavy chariot, and it does have a decent health and armor like I mentioned before. You shouldn't look at the melee attack and melee defense, it really does the work. Now we have our Plague Monks, and the Plague Monks, as you can see, they have some speed debuff because there is a lot of them. but they are still, with the speed debuff, they are 37, and they have average melee attack and defense, very nice weapon strength with additional anti-infantry damage and also charge bonus. Very nice health for a Skaven. This is a very good unit. This is a very good unit indeed. Then we have something we've seen before. This is Storm Vermin, the elite infantry for a Skaven. As you can see, there is a lot of them. I mean, there is really a lot of them. And you can see that they do have a very decent health, but because there is lots of them, they have very nice armor, they have very nice leadership, decent speed, they are faster than most heavy infantry, the melee attack sucks and the melee defense is decent, but they do cause anti-large armor piercing damage and they do have defense and they do have charge bonus, so all in all, decent unit indeed. And the Rat Ogres. The Rat Ogres are big and nasty. Interestingly so, there is 16 of them in the unit. So it's not something we've seen before. This is obviously ultra settings because you can see that the artillery piece actually holds 4 units. So this is ultra settings. This will not change into 24. So this is 16 entities in a unit and they have decent health, they don't have armor, they have decent leadership. Their melee stats, attack and defense are very poor, the weapon strength is decent for a monster, but they have 45 charge bonus and they have frenzy and you should really cycle charge them for them to be any use really. They are nothing special for a monster unit. Then we have Gutter Runners. Gutter Runners, very nice unit indeed. There is 120 of them with decent health and they do some range 70 attacks with 10 ammunition. They throw those stars, dealing 21 damage. And they are advertised as 360 arc of fire and fire while running. So yeah, very, very nice indeed. And they have Snetner as well. Yeah, fire while moving, as you've seen, Stalk and Vanguard deployment. And they have Snare, which will slow down the enemy quite significantly. And the Snare net works like that. You have a hex that is a hex for 9-second duration that is working in a very nice range of 30, so it's not designed to trap single unit, but you can also have several. Yeah, so it is very, very cool, and effective range is 15 meters, so they cannot move while this is in work. So very, very nice unit and very nice ability. Then we have Gutter Runner Slingers with poison. Those guys cannot, those guys have dodge, but all have stun net, but do not have fire while moving. And as you can see, they have better range, but less damage, but poison. And they also have a melee attack with poison as well. So, something for something. Then we have Poison Wing Globadiers, a very interesting unit indeed. There is 48 of them. They have armor, quite decent actually, of 90 armor, but very low health. So it is very brittle unit, it cannot really fight, has 12 ammo, but is dealing some very nice armor piercing damage on the 75 range, and this is splash damage, it will really do its job. Right, then we have Sensor Bearers. This is Sensor Bearers will do, they have Warspore Dust Contagion. So again, those guys are doing armor piercing damage. They have decent stats, as you can see. They have no armor, but very decent health, 120 in a unit. We haven't seen what all of the abilities for those guys. And finally we have Hell Pit Abomination, which is, I have another screenshot as well, but as you can see 1100 health is a lot, and it also causes terror, it has regeneration, it has very nice 500 damage with some arrow piercing and anti-infantry, 30-30 melee attack and defense, so not that great when fighting other monsters, but charge bonus of 25, so it cannot be used somewhat effectively. And then very high leadership, fear and poison, another thing, 50 armor. So it is interesting unit, it is certainly one of the most powerful units for the Skaven. And yeah, this is another screenshot of it. And what more? This is very cinematic screenshots of the Plague Claw catapult actually firing on those troops, so you can see that splash damage going all over. And this is actually Doom Rocket. So the Doom Rocket was described as large area effect thing, but it really doesn't work like that, as you can see. It's more similar to the spells like we've seen from the lore of vampires, for example. Now, for the spells, if we are at spells, let's talk about spells. We have a Plague, which is Vortex, 20 seconds, causes magical damage, large expanding area effect, strong versus multiple units. Pretty standard Vortex. It costs a lot. It doesn't do as much damage from what we've seen right now in the battle. It's decent spell, but nothing special. It seems they are focusing on the Vortex spell in this in Warhammer 2. I like Vortex's spell, but they don't seem to be part here. Now we also have Vermintide, and this is something very cool. As you can see, you can use it 6 times during the battle, and there is only 4 mana to use it. There is 41 cooldown, and you can summon a Clan Rat unit. And Clan Rat units are actually pretty decent, so this is more powerful than summoning that the Vampire Cats have. So yeah, pretty nice spell indeed. We also have a Wither, and as you can see, this is a duration hex that lowers the armor with the effective range of 40. So very useful, because you won't have many armor piercing units, and this will do a lot of work, because this is for a very large area and last for a very long, and it will be effective against pretty much any Imperial units, not maybe against like very low armor units like other Skaven or the Norscan tribes mostly, but affect mid armor units. It will be the most effective, because it will lower the armor for 0 or to very low value, like from 50 to 20. That would be the most effective way to use it on the very high armor units. It will, you know, make it better, but not by much. Now also we have Bless with Field, which is augment, again very wide area, duration only 22 seconds, so it's not as effective, but it does cause poison to every unit around, so it might be used. And finally we have Pestilent Breath, which is your basic breath attack, and I will tell more about breath attacks later on, because breath attacks were upgraded in very interesting fashion, and they will be a lot more useful on the battlefield. And also for the Engineer we also have Death Frenzy, which is a spell augment that is only working for a single unit, but it will make it immune to psychology and quite some additional buffs to melee attack, charge bonus and stuff, but very short one, only 17 seconds. But yes, this is a spell, so you will have to pay with this with your Winds of Magic, and I do not believe this is worth 8 points of Winds of Magic. Alright, Pestilent Breath you've seen already, and this is actually being used, I believe. And from this battle that you can see which units are useful. Actually, I have two screenshots showing you different numbers, but as you can see, the Scroll is doing decently, and the Censor Bearers and the Plague Monks are doing decently. The Stone Vermin are not doing great. Sorry, I scrolled too far. And from the rest of the units, you can see that the Plague Claw, Catapult, and the Doom Wheel are doing very well indeed, very well indeed. All right, so as for the Dark Elves, we have Malakith, who has very nice stats. He is described as a hybrid lord, and as you can see with the comparison with Skroll, he has very decent health, 90 armor, very high leadership, decent speed, and you can mount him even on a dragon. There is very high melee attack and very high melee defense of 65 and 55, decent weapon strength and very nice charge bonus even on foot. So this guy will be a killer, will be really good at fighting hand to hand, and he has also spells. Now we also have Dark Riders with repeater crossbows. Those guys do not have shields, but they do cause at range 105 23 armor piercing missile damage, so this is very nice. They have very medicore stats when they are actually in combat and low charge bonus, but I guess they can be used in such a way. I mean, charging by the enemy. The Executioners is a very good elite unit for the Dark Elves with 115 armor, with very decent health of 7300, high leadership, very decent melee attack and defense of 36 both, and amazing 42 armor piercing damage with additional bonus versus infantry, 24 charge bonus. So this is a very strong greatsword infantry unit, and if you would be naming stronger one, there will be exactly one, so you know, very nice indeed. Then we have Black Ark Corsairs, who are anti-infantry. They do have two swords. As you can see, there is also 100 of them, but they have less everything, armor, health, stats, but they are cheaper, so there's that. But they are nice, they are a nice unit. They also don't have shields, obviously. Then we have Dark Shards with shields, which is a very decent range unit. They only have a range of 123, but they are doing some nice armor piercing missile damage. They have armor of 40 and they have silver shields, and they actually fight decently for a change. They fire quite fast, so you will run out of this 18 ammo with decent speed, and from what I have seen, they are doing very nice decent damage. Now the Blackguards of Nagrod is the most expensive unit for the Black Elves, and those guys are halberd infantry, so obviously again very high health, there is 100 of them, there is very high armor and leadership, low speed but very nice melee attack and defense of 36 and 46, and again armor piercing, anti-large, 44 weapon strength, very nice indeed, and obviously they are immune to psychology, and they do have defense. Now what is very interesting is that from this 44, actually 30 is armor piercing, and the bonus versus large is 24, which I believe is one of the best in a game, similar to the Slayers. So those guys are really good at killing monsters, especially armored monsters, since bonus versus large is also armor piercing. So you do not run cav into them. That's basically what you should not do. Or armored monsters or anything. It's best to shoot them from afar. Then we have Witch Elves. Witch Elves, what you would expect. They have low health, there is not that many of them, but they have no armor, but they have very decent leadership and very nice speed. They also have melee attack of 46. This is upgraded, we don't know exactly, but I would say about 42 without upgrade. Melee defense of 26. Very nice weapon strength of 35. With some additional bonus versus infantry, and also charge of 28. So if you do charge them, they will do a lot of damage, similarly to Norscan Berserkers. They also have frenzy. So the Witch Elves should be... They are a very decent unit if you can use them, but also very brittle if you charge them with cavalry or if you shoot them. Be mindful of that. Now, the Cold One Knights, one of the most powerful cavalry units in a game. They are anti-large, they have very decent health, very decent armor, very decent leadership. The speed, melee attack and melee defense are a bit on the low side, but they have very nice weapon strength and nice charge bonus, as you can see from here. Now the Cobra, the Hydra. Hydra is interesting monsters in itself. It does have a lot of health, or 8,500, so that's a lot. They have decent armor of 50 and a decent leadership. The melee attack is great. It has Fire Breath that it can use 3 times, and it is really powerful Fire Breath. And it has a very nice weapon strength of 440 with armor piercing, charge bonus of 40, and terror, fear, you name it. This is a very good monster. It does, like I said, Fire Breath of a range of 90, which is also very nice, but cannot be used if engaged in melee. It has regeneration, but it also takes another place, which is another constant regeneration buff. So there is 2 regenerations on this monster. So it's a tank, basically. Bleak Swords is a standard infantry, as you can see, 120 of them. Decent health for this infantry, decent stats, and weapon strength, as you can see, those guys can take on the Imperial Swords. Then we have repeated Reaper Bolt Thrower, which works similarly as the artillery for the High Elves. It has a range of 340, it does 150 missile damage, armor piercing, anti-large, but you can switch to other kind of ammo, and I will show you this ammo in a moment. We have Shades, who are also Stalkers. There is only 80 of them. They have very low health, but they can deal some nice armor piercing damage from a decent range. They have enough ammo, and they are decent weapon. They fight decently, and they are actually very fast. 42 for infantry unit is really nice. Finally, we have Kanai Assassin. So this guy has Stalk, he is good against gates, duelists and poison attack. So he will have ability that will, take out gates. But look at the stats of this guy. With a 3300 low armor, but with the melee attack of 70 and poison and defense of 42 and the weapon strength of 330, he can really kill stuff, and at the same time he has absolutely crazy. He has 50 ammo, and on the range of 70 he can deal 800 missile damage. So yeah, you should really be afraid of this guy. If he shows up behind you and starts shooting your lord in the back, that will be pretty short work. 800 missile damage. I do think it will, though those stats are subject to change because it is still 1 month before the release, and I think they will nerf it because that's just crazy. Alright, so then we have, sorry for the bad quality, I tried to make it work better. These are the Dark Riders. and those guys have yeah, they are like normal light cav, nothing special, although nice charge bonus of 38 for such a unit. One more shot of a Hydra. Now the Blade Wind Vortex spell, it costs 10, so it is a nice vortex spell, duration of 7 seconds, but let's be frank, it's the beginning of the vortex spell that counts, because then it attacks your units and then it walks away somewhere. So very nice vortex spell. It will do the damage, it is cheap, and yeah, it is nice and is being used in this battle. It seemed to be effective. Then we have Murderous Prowess. How it works, we can see the Murderous Prowess in all its glory. Melee attack plus 25%, plus 15 leadership, that's a flat plus 15 leadership, plus 25 charge bonus, plus 20% armor piercing missile damage. I do believe this is normal damage as well, and plus 30% vigor. So Murderous Prowess is really powerful, and I mean really powerful. Then we have Doombolt, which is a standard magical missile, 200, pretty expensive for a magical missile. It remains to be seen if it's any effective. We have Noxious Breath on the Hydra, which is pretty similar to what we've already seen. Then yeah, then we have stats from the battle for the Dark Elves, and as you can see, Malakith is a killer here. But Executioners, one of the Executioners, doing a very nice jobs, and those Corsairs are also doing pretty nicely. So you can just judge on your own what can do damage and how. And finally, some very nice screenshots for this battle. The multi-shot for the artillery for the Dark Elves is increasing some missile damage, but there is not that much of armor piercing, and there is significant amount of projectiles. As you can see, there is 16 projectiles, and there is some additional bonus versus infantry, which is interesting because if you hit, it's pretty much only bonus to the damage, so I'm not sure how to look at it. But yeah, for unarmored infantry, it is a killer. It is certainly a killer. Chillwind is another spell that I can show you. It has a duration of 3 seconds, which is interesting. It is a wind spell, but it's you can think of it as a magic missile because it works similar way. Really, it does cost frostbite, but only 24% speed, not 50. And as you can see, this is Malakith casting it, and he was adjusting in which way the wind spell should go. Now, should that be true for the Wind of Death, that will be a problem, because the Wind of Death will also technically a wind spell, will be very powerful indeed. We'll have to wait and see, because the breath spells are certainly working in this way. So this is it. I hope you like it. If you did, press like, comment if you will, and see my other videos in Total War Warhammer. I'm doing mod reviews, DLC analysis and speculation videos, and let's plays for Total War series and other games. Thank you for watching, and see you later.